Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling drained? Like somehow, without yelling or arguing, the other person got exactly what they wanted, and you didn't agree to it, you didn't plan for it, but somehow, they won. That's not a coincidence. That's manipulation. Manipulators are everywhere. Some are loud, some are subtle, but they all have one thing in common. They know how to twist situations without you even noticing. They make you feel guilty. They pressure you to say yes. They act like victims while pulling all the strings. And by the time you realize it, it's already too late. But here's the good news, you don't have to keep falling for it. You can learn how to outsmart them, quietly, confidently, without losing your peace. And you don't need to fight fire with fire, you just need strategy. In this video, we're going to break down 7 genius tactics to outsmart manipulators, based on the sharp, calculated wisdom of Niccolò Machiavelli. These aren't just clever tricks. These are powerful tools that will help you take back control of your time, your energy, and your decisions. So if you're tired of being emotionally manipulated, if you've ever had someone guilt trip you, lie to you, or make you question your own reality, then stay with me, because what you'll learn in the next few minutes might just change the way you deal with people forever. Let's begin. Way 1, the mirror defense. Have you ever had someone twist your words, then act like you were the one who caused the problem? That's not just frustrating, it's manipulation. And here's what most people do in that moment. They argue, they defend, they raise their voice. But the more you react emotionally, the more power you give the manipulator. You play right into their hands. But Machiavelli and modern psychology offers a better tactic. It's called the mirror defense. Here's how it works. Instead of fighting back or trying to prove yourself, you calmly reflect the manipulator's own behavior or logic back to them. Like holding up a mirror. You don't accuse. You don't attack. You just show them what they're doing, as if they're watching a replay of their own words. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're in a work meeting. A colleague keeps blaming you for delays in a project, even though they didn't meet their deadlines either. Everyone's watching, and that colleague is smirking, thinking they've made you look bad. Most people would get defensive. That's not true. I sent my part last week. And the conversation turns into chaos. But with the mirror defense, you stay calm. You look at them and say, "That's interesting. Can you walk us through the exact timeline of when you submitted your parts? Maybe that'll help clarify things for everyone." Now they're the ones under pressure. They've just been handed the mic in front of the whole room. No aggression, no anger, just facts. And here's the beautiful part, you didn't try to win the argument. You let their own behavior do the work for you. This tactic works in almost any setting, family, friends, co-workers, even online. Let's say someone says something passive-aggressive like, "Wow, must be nice to have so much free time to go on vacation." Now, instead of taking the bait and feeling guilty, you smile and say, "You sound like you might want a break too. Everything okay?" Again, you're holding up the mirror. You're making them reflect on what they just said without throwing fire back. Here's why this tactic is genius. 1. It protects your peace. You don't need to match their energy. You stay calm, clear, and in control. 2. It exposes manipulation without drama. People watching will start to notice patterns, and the manipulator will start to feel uncomfortable in their own skin. 3. It keeps you powerful without being aggressive. You don't lower yourself. You rise above, and that throws them off every time. Machiavelli said, "The wise man does at once what the fool does at last." In other words, don't wait until things blow up. Use the mirror defense early and often, because when someone sees their own behavior clearly, they either correct it or reveal who they truly are. And both are wins for you. Let's move to the next tactic, the one that teaches you how to starve their power completely, by giving them nothing. Stick with me. Way 2. The emotion vacuum. Manipulators have one secret weapon that most people don't even notice. Your emotions. They poke you, push you, and provoke you, not because they're angry, but because they want you to be. The moment you explode, get defensive, or even just look frustrated, they win. This is why the second genius tactic is something I call the emotion vacuum. Let me explain. Imagine a manipulator is like a fire. Your emotional reaction, that's the oxygen. The more you feed it, by getting angry, by explaining yourself, by trying to prove your point, the bigger and hotter the fire gets. But if you remove the oxygen, the fire dies. That's exactly what the emotion vacuum does. It means giving them nothing, no anger, no outrage, not even confusion. Just calm, stillness, silence when needed. Let me give you a real-world example. Let's say you have a friend or coworker who always throws little jabs at you. They might say something like, "Wow, I didn't expect you to get that promotion." They want a reaction, maybe a nervous laugh, maybe you defend yourself. But what if, instead, you simply respond, and walk away? You just vacuumed the entire moment. No fuel, no power. And here's the crazy part. When you stop reacting, manipulators get confused. They start wondering, why didn't that work? Because for once, you're in control of the emotional tone. And that's how you flip the power dynamic. Now, this doesn't mean you become cold or robotic. It means you become selective with your emotions. You don't let people pull them out of you like a vending machine. You decide when and where to express them. This tactic is especially powerful in toxic relationships. Whether it's a partner, a parent, or a boss, if someone constantly criticizes you, guilt trips you, or uses anger to control you, don't fight back the way they expect. Don't match their energy. Lower yours. Stay quiet. Stay calm. And say something simple like, "I hear you," or, "Okay." Then walk away. That's the vacuum. Why does this work so well? Because manipulators thrive in chaos. They're not looking for solutions. They're looking for control. And emotions are their favorite tool. Machiavelli would say, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." Meaning, while most people eventually realize they're being emotionally controlled, the wise person sees it early and stops playing the game. And here's something else to think about. When you respond with neutrality, you become unpredictable. And nothing scares a manipulator more than someone they can't read. So the next time someone tries to guilt you, shame you, pressure you, don't argue, don't explain, just vacuum out the emotion. Let them sit in their own discomfort. Let them feel the silence. That's where your power is. Way 3. Strategic delay. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been pushed to make a decision right now? Whether it was a phone call, a meeting, a family request, or someone offering you a limited time deal. Manipulators love urgency. They know that when people feel rushed, they stop thinking clearly. It's a trick as old as time. Pressure someone just enough, and they'll make a decision out of fear, guilt, or confusion. That's why strategic delay is such a powerful weapon. It means this: you never let someone else control your decision-making clock. You take your time even when they don't want you to, especially when they don't want you to. Let me give you a real example. There was a man named Jordan who worked at a big corporate office. His boss was a classic manipulator, always pushing deadlines, always dumping last-minute tasks, and using phrases like, "We need this by tonight or we'll lose the client." But Jordan realized something. Every time he said, "Yes," too fast, his workload doubled, and his respect disappeared. So one day, when his boss dropped another rush demand, Jordan simply said, "I'll get back to you after lunch. I need to check my schedule." He didn't panic. He didn't explain. He just bought himself time. That tiny delay changed everything. His boss backed off, and Jordan used that space to assess the situation logically, not emotionally. You see, when you delay, you remove the manipulator's power. You're saying, "I think for myself." You don't get to decide when I act. It doesn't mean you're being rude or unhelpful. It means you're being intentional. Strategic delay gives you breathing room. It gives you clarity. And it gives you leverage. Machiavelli would say, when a man moves too fast, he falls into traps set by slower, more patient minds. This tactic is used by some of the most successful negotiators, leaders, and even parents. They don't say yes too quickly. They don't say no in anger. They pause. They think. then they choose the best move, not the fastest one. So how do you use strategic delay in real life? Start simple. The next time someone pressures you, pause for just 3 seconds. Look them in the eye and say, "Let me think about that. I'll need some time before I answer. I'll get back to you later today." You don't owe anyone an immediate reaction. And that pause, that space between pressure and decision, that's where your power lives. Remember this, the more urgent someone sounds, the more likely they're trying to control you. So slow it down. Let them sweat a little. You're not being slow. You're being smart. That's the power of strategic delay. Way 4. Reward reversal. Let's talk about one of the sneakiest ways manipulators control people, by offering fake rewards. These people don't always manipulate with threats. In fact, they often use something more powerful: approval, attention, compliments, or promises. They give just enough to make you feel seen, just enough to keep you chasing. But here's the thing, they never truly deliver. It's like dangling a carrot in front of a horse. You keep moving forward, but you never get to eat. This is what I call the reward reversal. It's a genius tactic where you flip the script. Instead of chasing their approval, you take it away from them. You stop reacting the way they expect you to. You stop being eager to please. You stop being predictable. Let me give you a simple example. Let's say you have a friend who only calls you when they need help. Moving furniture, borrowing money, asking for advice. But when you need support, they're never around. At first, you help them because you think they care. They say, "You're the only one I trust," or "You're such a good friend." That sounds like a compliment, right? But in reality, it's a leash. You're being rewarded with nice words so they can keep using you. Now here's how you reverse the reward. Next time they call, you pause. You don't jump in. You say something like, "I've got a lot going on right now, let me think about it." Or even better, "I don't think I'm available this time." Boom. The power dynamic shifts. You've just reminded them, and yourself, that your help is a choice, not an obligation. And here's the beautiful part. When you stop reacting to their fake rewards, they either back off or start treating you with real respect. Manipulators hate losing control. But once you show them that you're not moved by shallow praise or guilt tripping, they lose their grip on you. Machiavelli would say, "Make yourself the prize. Never let others think they own your loyalty." You see, this tactic isn't about being cold or mean. It's about knowing your worth. If someone only likes you when you're useful, that's not friendship. That's control. So from now on, keep this in mind. Not every compliment is sincere. Not every favor deserves a yes. You have the power to teach people how to treat you. And the fastest way to do that is by reversing the reward. Pull back your time, your energy, your yes. Make them earn it. And when they do, that's when you know it's real. Way 5. Ambiguity armor. Have you ever noticed how some people ask too many personal questions? They'll say things like, "So, what's your next move?" Or, "Are you still planning to stay in this job?" They sound curious, but something feels off. That's not curiosity. That's information gathering. Manipulators love to know everything about you. Why? Because the more they know, the more they can control. Think about it. If they know your fears, they can use them. If they know your dreams, they can dangle them in front of you. If they know your weaknesses, they'll press exactly where it hurts. This is where ambiguity armor comes in. It's one of the smartest, most underrated defenses you'll ever use. And the best part? You don't have to lie. You just don't have to reveal everything. Let me tell you what this looks like in real life. Let's say someone at work asks, "Hey, are you applying for that new role?" Now, maybe you are. Maybe you're not. But instead of giving them a clear answer like, "Yeah, I'm definitely going for it," you say something like, I'm weighing a few things right now, keeping my options open." Boom. You've just used ambiguity armor. They don't know what you're doing. They don't know how to plan around you. They can't sabotage what they don't understand. Ambiguity creates confusion, and confusion is a shield. Machiavelli knew this well. He said, "Never tell anyone the real reason you did something unless it is useful to do so. Let that sink in. You don't owe full access to anyone, especially those who might twist your words or weaponize your truth." Now, this doesn't mean you become mysterious to everyone. You don't need to push away close friends or people you trust. This tactic is for those gray area people, the ones who smile at your face but quietly compete behind your back. Here's another example. Someone asks, "You've been quiet lately. Are you okay?" Sounds caring, right? But if you know this person has a history of gossiping or using personal stuff against you, don't open the door. Say, "I've just been focused on a few things. Nothing major. Simple. Clear." They get nothing. You stay in control. You see, being vague doesn't mean being cold. It means being wise. You're not blocking people out. You're just filtering who gets the full version of you and who only gets the headlines. And here's the secret. When people can't read you, they respect you more. Why? Because unpredictability equals power. So from now on, keep your plans flexible. Keep your responses measured. Let people guess. Because the more they have to guess, the less they can manipulate. That's ambiguity armor. And it's one of the smartest ways to stay ahead in a world full of quiet manipulators. Way 6. The exit threat. Here's something most manipulators never expect. That one day you'll leave. You see, the truth is, manipulators don't fear arguments. They don't fear silence. They don't even fear getting caught. What they do fear is losing control, losing access to you, losing the power they thought they had. That's why one of the most powerful things you can ever do is to show them you're not afraid to walk away. Not with drama, not with shouting, just quiet, calm strength. This is what we call the exit threat. Now, let's be clear. The exit threat isn't about actually leaving all the time. It's about making it known without a single word that you can. And that makes all the difference. Let me give you a story. There was a woman named Sarah. For years, she stayed in a relationship with someone who constantly gaslit her, blamed her, and made her feel small. Every time she brought up her feelings, he twisted the conversation. She tried to fix things. She begged. She reasoned. She cried. Nothing changed. But one day she stopped explaining. She stopped arguing. She just quietly began taking her power back. She opened her own bank account. She started making her own plans. And then, one evening, when he tried to pick a fight again, she simply looked at him and said, "I'm not doing this anymore." That was it. No screaming, no explaining, no chasing. And for the first time, he panicked. Because for the first time, he realized she could leave. That's the exit threat. It's not loud. It's not aggressive. But it's the one move that flips the entire dynamic. Because manipulators only feel powerful when they think you need them more than they need you. But when you show them that you're whole with or without them, suddenly they lose all leverage. You don't have to slam the door. Sometimes just placing your hand on the doorknob is enough. And here's something even deeper. People treat you differently when they know you have options. When you don't depend on their approval. When your world doesn't revolve around their mood. So how do you apply this in your own life? First, build independence. Emotional, financial, social. Don't let your world shrink down to one person's validation. Second, learn to say this powerful line. This isn't working for me anymore. No blame, no drama, just truth. Create silence. And in that silence, the manipulator feels the fear they've been using against you. Because they know they're not in control anymore. And here's the beauty of it. Once they know you can leave, you rarely have to. Because people start treating you with the respect they should have shown you from the beginning. So don't be afraid of losing people. Be afraid of losing yourself trying to keep them. And if someone only treats you right when they fear you'll leave, that's not a relationship. That's manipulation. Remember, never let anyone believe they own your presence. Let them feel at any moment you could choose peace instead. That's power. That's freedom. That's the exit threat. Way 7. Master level strategy. When to play dumb. Sometimes the smartest person in the room is the one pretending not to be. This tactic is what I call the master level strategy, playing dumb. It sounds strange at first, I know, but hear me out. Manipulators love control. And to control you, they need to believe they're smarter than you. They want to think they're pulling the strings while you're clueless. So, the most genius thing you can do is let them think they're winning. You don't challenge them. You don't argue. You don't expose them right away. Instead, you observe. You collect data. You smile and nod. You play dumb. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're working with someone who constantly tries to take credit for your ideas. In meetings, they subtly twist your words and present them as their own. Now, you could call them out. You could confront them, but that usually turns into drama, denial, gaslighting, office politics. So instead, you stay quiet. You let them keep doing it. And behind the scenes, you start documenting. Emails, timestamps, conversations. You're building your case silently. Then, when the time is right, you bring it to your boss. Calmly, professionally, with evidence. No outbursts, no emotion, just facts. And the manipulator, caught completely off guard. Because they thought you were too naive to notice. That's the trap they walked into. You see, playing dumb is not weakness. It's actually a form of strategic patience. You let the manipulator feel comfortable, so they reveal more than they should. You give them the space to hang themselves with their own behavior. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. He believed that in politics, power often lies in subtlety, not aggression. And in your daily life, especially in relationships, workplaces, or even family, this is a golden rule. If someone's playing dirty, don't rush to react. Watch, wait, let them underestimate you. Let them show their true colors. Then, when you move with precision, because that's when your silence becomes your weapon. Here's a key thing to remember. You don't need to win every battle immediately. Sometimes the long game is where the real victory lies. Now, I'm not saying you should always pretend to be clueless. But when you sense manipulation, when the other person is clearly playing games, this tactic gives you time, space, and most importantly, leverage. So the next time someone tries to play you, smile, nod, let them think they're smart. But never stop watching. And when the moment is right, you'll already know exactly what to do. Because sometimes, playing dumb is the smartest move you'll ever make. So now you know, manipulators aren't always loud or obvious. Sometimes they wear a smile. Sometimes they act like they care. But behind the curtain, they twist your words, play with your emotions, and push you into corners you never chose. That's why knowing these 7 tactics isn't just smart. It's necessary. You don't need to be cruel to be strong. You don't need to yell to be powerful. What you need is clarity, self-control, and strategy. You've seen how mirroring their behavior, staying emotionally neutral, delaying decisions, and keeping your plans vague can completely throw off someone trying to manipulate you. You've learned how reversing rewards and calmly showing that you can walk away makes you untouchable. And most of all, you've discovered that sometimes the smartest thing you can do is pretend not to know, while you gather strength behind the scenes. This is not about becoming like them. It's about protecting your peace, your mind, and your freedom. If this video spoke to you, if it opened your eyes to things you felt but couldn't explain, then it's your turn to speak up. Give this video a thumbs up if it helped you. Share it with someone who's dealing with a manipulator right now. And comment below, which tactic will you use first? I read every comment, and your voice matters. If you want more videos like this, where psychology, strategy, and ancient wisdom come together, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Because each week, we're helping people just like you take their power back. Remember, you don't have to fight dirty. You just have to play smarter. This is your move. Make it count.